Well, good morning, people. Thank you so much for tuning in to Women's View. We're glad you're watching us from wherever you are. Thank you so much for your company. And today we are talking about youth empowerment. And you know what? Unemployment has become a huge challenge for the country, and the magnitude of the problem especially large among the youth. Youth in Kenya face serious challenges, including high rates of unemployment and underemployment. And the overall unemployment rate for the youth is double the adult average at about 21%. Now, statistics on joblessness suggest that the level of unemployment problem is larger for the youth, with 38% of the youth neither in school nor work. So what can we do to save our youth from this menace and help them live a decent life? Well, that is what we want to find out from our guests. So keep us company and feel free to send your questions to 21144 and on our Facebook page, that is Women's View, and follow us on Twitter as well. Our handle is @Women's View. So welcome. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Good morning, people, ladies and gents. We're glad to have a gent here on Women's View. Okay, it's not awkward, but okay. So how are you today?
Fine, thank you. Yes.
Okay, so face that camera and introduce yourself to the viewer.
My name is Deborah Mburu. I work as a lead consultant for McKinney Training and Consultancy. I'm here as a project manager for an initiative for the youth called Youwin Awards.
Youwin.
Youwin Awards.
Okay.
It's an acronym for Youth with Initiative.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, Winnie.
Hi.
Thanks. I'm Ngengi Kamau from the Homeboyz Foundation, where we are focused on youth empowerment, and I'm happy to be here.
Wow, karibu sana.
Thanks.
Good morning, viewer. My name is Sabina, and today's topic we are discussing about youth empowerment and the challenges that youth faces. There's many challenges, but today we want to know, we want to empower them. They should not just sit down and think that they can't make. They can, because they are facing challenges, but today we want to enlighten them so that they can come out of it. Welcome and stay tuned for 1 hour. Thank you.
Okay, yes, 1 hour full of, entertainment and education and all that. So first question, the youth make up like a larger group of the population in Kenya, but the same youths face a number of challenges. So I know your organizations touch on the youth, so probably we'll start with you. Just tell us briefly about your organization.
Okay. McKinney Training and Consultancy is an offshoot of the McKinney group of companies, made up of the McKinney schools. We have the school on Gong Road, we have one in Kisumu, McKinney College, and then the training and consultancy arm was born from that educational background. We've been in existence for 2 years, and out of that 2 years, we've been having contracts even by the World Bank to train the youth. And the cry has been the same from the youth. We train them in several things, like ICT. And the cry has been the same among the youth. Give us jobs. When we finish this training, are we going to get a job? Do you know somebody who can give us jobs? And we thought as McKinney, why don't we come up with an initiative that will try and solve the problem of youth unemployment by first and foremost rewarding and celebrating youth entrepreneurs.
Wow.
That is entrepreneurs who are between the ages of 18 to 35. Many people say life starts at 40, but for us we are saying no, life begins at 18 and ends at 35. And we want to find out, what are these entrepreneurs engaged in? What businesses are they doing? Of course, they have to be legal. And then we're going to get judges to sit and look at each business, develop the winners, find out who are the winners, and then develop capacity building reports from which we shall know then what does each business need in terms of its capacity to be enhanced so they can make more money and employ more people. That's the most important part of the program.
True.
And we are also going to have special categories. For instance, you may not be between the ages of 18 to 35. You could be below. We're calling that category junior entrepreneurs to encourage those kids who are below 18 but they have fantastic ideas and help them develop these ideas. There's also youth with disability. We know disability is a common problem in Kenya which is not handled very well, but for us we do not want to exclude the youth who have disability. So there's a special category for them which makes it just a little bit easier for them to join the awards. And finally we have university stroke college students. You could be in university and you're in college and you have fantastic ideas. You may not be registering, have a registered business or operating a registered business, but we don't want to exclude you from those awards because the main gist of the awards is actually the aftercare program. We're going to have the awards gala dinner in December when we actually award these youth, the ones who have really extraordinary businesses. But the aftercare program that comes 1 year after, like within the 1 year after the program, after the awards, is what is the most important because we take you through a program of mentorship, apprenticeship, training. We conduct industry linkages for you. If your business needs to be made export ready, we make that possible for you. If you have a business idea that needs to be developed, we make that possible for you within the 1 year after the awards. So next year we can say Business X was having a turnover of 1 million in 2013 through our intervention. Business X now is making 5 million and has employed 10 other people.
Good to know.
And I think if we do that 10 years to come, we'll have helped to solve the problem of youth unemployment.
Okay, Mr. Ngengi.
Thanks, Winnie. The Homeboyz Foundation is based on youth empowerment. Our main mission is to connect youth with the necessary skills and tools to live their life to the highest fulfillment. Not necessarily go and look for jobs, but ideally to create their own jobs. Because the biggest problem we have in the developing world is we have a very high population, especially the young people, which accounts for, I'd say 30%. We can talk about stats all day, but the facts are there. And the main thing is that we connect them to these so they can create jobs and not just have their own. Homeboyz has been there since about 1995.
That's a long time.
Yeah, for a very long time. Everyone I talk to, they think I'm a DJ, but I'm not.
By the way, I was telling you earlier before we started the show, whenever I hear the word Homeboyz, I remember back in primary school we used to go for, shows, and there's Homeboyz there. You know.
And that's where Homeboyz has the advantage. We have the street credibility and the acceptance with the youth. So when they hear Homeboyz, they're like, Homeboyz are cool and sexy. So what we want to do, we want to take that and use that to tell these people, okay, look, we started in 1995. We had nothing. But the main philosophy is that by let's say I acquire a skill, if I can pass that on to other people around me and they can do the same. That's the key philosophy of Homeboyz. I was just telling you that everyone at Homeboyz is both an apprentice and has an apprentice. I myself, I was an intern for 3 months. Within 3 months, I had an intern. I was doing interviews and we were both nervous,
I can imagine that feeling.
Yeah. But just that element of passing on your skill and passing on your knowledge is very key to Homeboyz.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And just utilizing it and living life to the fulfillment. Yeah.
I like that. You are there, but then in as much as yes, you're doing something, you are mentoring somebody else there.
Exactly.
So that in case anything happens to you, maybe you get a promotion or you happen to leave that organization, somebody else is there to do what you are doing.
Exactly.
And that is empowerment at the end of the day, because you are passing the skill that you have to another person. Okay, so I know, yes, you're trying so much to, engage the youth and to help them. And in your organization especially, do you like only take the youths with educational background, or you tackle everybody, every youth in the country?
Okay, as you know very well, the youth face a lot of challenges. For these particular awards, we're not going to be looking at anything educational background. What we want is your business acumen and of course your will, because nobody can force you to do what you don't want to do. So educational background, we're not actually at all interested in it, because some of the best entrepreneurs actually dropped out of university. Even if you look at the list of the richest people, for instance, just to name a few, like Bill Gates, he didn't even complete university. So many of them don't even have an educational background. Even locally,
he dropped out of school.
Yeah, Richard Branson dropped out of school. So if we say that we look at your educational background, I think we will have cut off quite a number of people who have a lot of potential and who can be developed to become great entrepreneurs. So educational background is none of our business for now.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, if I can add to that, the main problem that, not corporates necessarily Kenya, but across the board, is that divide between education, whether it's tertiary, secondary, or university. There's that divide between school and the work environment. And that's where you see that the developing world lacks. Because if I can use myself as an example, when I came out of school, I was applying what I learned in school in the work area, but it's a completely different environment. So what I found at Homeboyz is that my boss is actually my mentor, and he nurtures me and shows me by throwing me into the deep end, you know, and learning from experience. And when you see that divide, it doesn't matter what your education background is. I mean, it's you, of course, we encourage people to finish school,
It is
and go as
important.
far as
not
possible.
against school.
Yeah. And do whatever you have to. One of my interns, he's paid for himself to school and all that stuff. And he's still continuing, and that's what made the difference in taking him on, and he had the hunger. So yes, do your education as fast as possible, but don't be discouraged, because as much as we can say, okay, yeah, Bill Gates and everything, because people still think they dropped out of Harvard.
Yeah.
That's not a polytechnic or something, you know.
True.
It doesn't matter where you are, but as long as you have that drive, and don't necessarily think that you have to go and look for a job.
No.
You have to sit there and take your CV to different companies. Think outside the box and try and create for people around you. Yeah.
And speaking of that, you know, most people, especially the youth, they're like, no, I want, you know, most of them go for the white collar jobs, and they forget that they have the talent inside them. So that when somebody like fails in school, they feel so discouraged, and you know, they don't even know where to start. So we're saying you don't have to wait for the white collar job. Just do something. Of course, you have
Actually,
a
the
talent
biggest
inside
problem we have in Kenya, I think, it's not even that the youth don't have resources or anything like that. I think it's a perception problem. Let me talk by giving an example of myself. When I was very young, I wanted to go into business. You know what my aunties, my uncles, even my parents said? No. You know, we call business jua kali. You know, we give business very derogatory terms. Yeah?
True.
I mean, jua kali. You meet somebody, then jua kali. You know, we give business a very, very derogatory term, which I don't think is right. And anyway, if there's nobody creating the jobs, then where are these jobs that people are going to get? And the reality in Kenya is that actually jobs are fewer than the people who are qualified for them. And that's just one of the realities. There are many problems, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But that's a big problem, perception. How do people view business? You find that when you have your degree or your polytechnic diploma, people will encourage you to look for a job. But what is the reality on the ground?
It's not easy
are you going to, are you guaranteed of getting a job? We all know that's not a realistic picture.
It is not.
And so we have to start changing perceptions. Parents have to change their perceptions. Teachers have to change their perception. Even the youth, we also have to start changing our own perceptions about what is possible for us. And I think that's the only way we are going to beat this problem of youth unemployment.
Yes, of course, we're facing many challenges, one of them being poverty. Not everybody has the money to go to school. But what can you do out of that? Use your talent and, you know, do something out of it. So now let's talk about challenges that you guys face. In as much as you're trying to empower the youth, there are challenges that you face as an organization.
Okay, I'll first start by talking about one of the biggest challenges is that you find there are many initiatives out there, each doing their own thing. So collaboration becomes a challenge because there's duplication of efforts. Secondly is when you launch something new, getting people to know about it and to actually understand, that becomes another challenge.
Very high.
Because you need to get people to see what's in it for themselves so that they can be able to participate. So that becomes another challenge. And then thirdly, because I think of the environment we live in, even when people see that this is a good initiative, sometimes they don't want to participate because of other initiatives that have come before and have let them down. So even when you have a good initiative, a good program, to build trust, and you know, we are lucky that the Makini name is quite a trusted name, but still, people will still ask, okay, are you sure this is going to work for me? Are you sure this program is good? And because we are doing it for the first time also now, to beat that becomes a problem.
Okay, at Homeboyz, you know, when somebody hears of the name Homeboyz, they'll be like, what a job. Do you guys just offer people jobs?
Exactly.
As easy
No,
as
I
that?
will offer you a job just like that. Anyway, in Kenya, the challenges are similar. Like she said, Makini is a big name, Homeboyz is a big name.
True.
But again, ours is a different issue. People come to us and they say, you're a DJ. What are you telling us about youth empowerment? Or on the other hand, there's Homeboyz Radio. We'll discuss with people for a long time and they'll come and all they'll ask us for is free radio time or something like that, you know, kazi ya Mungu. But I mean, there's other ways that it needs to be gone around. But if I can add another challenge is what she had mentioned, the element of attitude adjustment. If I can relate it back to one of Chinua Achebe's book, I can't remember which one, all respect to the late Chinua Achebe, the ideology behind that era of literature and everything was the village puts money together, sends you, you come back and get a job. It was never start a business, get a job. And that relates back to the African element of understanding and the miscommunication. It comes down to that attitude adjustment. Because when anyone goes to their parents, for those fortunate enough to have parents who can support them, and you say, I want to do this, you know, of course they'll tell you finish school, sawa. But even when you do finish school, there's that skepticism, you know, unless now you go out and do your own thing, and until you actually make it, then that's when people start recognizing. Yeah. So that element of the attitude is a big challenge. There's also the duplication of efforts. A lot of this, I mean, luckily right now in the age, we're in the information age, people are starting to understand that through the youth is how countries have made it. Through things like agriculture revolution. That's how Cuba became what they are. They became their own independent nation through agriculture. You know, the funny thing is we're Africans. We have the most fertile soil and everything, but we're importing food from outside.
It is sad, actually.
Exactly.
It is very sad.
Why aren't the young people the ones who are supposed to be farm? It's that attitude element, you know? So
And we need to remove that attitude that youths are the leaders of tomorrow. We are the leaders of today,
Yeah.
from now. Okay, so some of the challenges that the youth down there face.
Okay, as I said, we've worked a lot with the youth, and there are so many challenges, but let me just try and maybe give the top 5. The first challenge when you want to become an entrepreneur, as he's rightfully said, and we are very much in agreement, is the attitude problem, yeah, perception, and it comes in both ways. There's in 2 ways. Sorry, there's a perception of you know, we give business startups especially a very derogatory name. So people, when they hear you want to go into business, they're like, you kojua kali. So there's a very big attitude problem, as I had said earlier. Secondly, there's an attitude problem in that we start thinking, these people are young. What can they achieve?
True.
Yeah,
true.
which again undermines their efforts.
True.
Thirdly, is things to access, like accessing resources. For example, like capital. If a youth entrepreneur goes to the bank and they want to expand their business, they'll be told, bring a title, or are you working? You don't have a pay slip, so what can we use as your you know, as security? And the youth, most of them don't have security. They don't have access to security title deeds and such kinds of things. Fourthly is the opportunities presented in the market. You find that, for instance, I was very happy when the president said that 30% of the procurement for government jobs will be assigned to the youth, or rather will be open to the youth. Yeah, because before then, if you're a youth entrepreneur trying to access those kinds of opportunities, it's like you're competing with the heavyweights of Kenyan business, etc. So it becomes now a problem. And then finally is when this youth entrepreneur has made it, there are no channels for them to teach the rest, like you said, transferring knowledge and skills. We have the big businessmen in this country who've really made it big, and quite a number, yeah. But are they transferring these skills and this knowledge, you know, saying, if you're a youth entrepreneur, don't go down that road. I went down that road, it didn't work for my business. Now that I see you're trying to grow your business, instead use route XYZ. ABC didn't work. And we find that there are very few who actually go out of their way to teach the young, or rather to transfer the knowledge, to transfer the skills, to make sure that these guys are mentored, to make sure that they can do apprenticeships, for instance, see how a bigger business operates, and then they can model their own business, you know, to fit the way the bigger business is operating, so that in the next 5-10 years, then they can reach where that big business is. So just to say a few, I think those are some of the challenges that the youth face when they're trying to get out of unemployment.
Okay. Homeboyz.
Yeah, I'd say the main challenge is, from the top looking down, it's very easy, but from the bottom looking up, psychologically, it's a big determining factor. So this young person starts thinking like, okay, I want that very nice car. But by the time I get there, you know, it's like a problem that goes in a circle.
It's a cycle.
Because this person will get psychologically depressed, and that's where drugs and alcohol and all that comes in.
True.
And you get into a deeper hole. But when I say it's an ongoing cycle, because the corporates, and let's say where most of the opportunities lie, for example, they have the power and the influence to come and make these attitude adjustments and give that encouragement, you know, and not just by money contributions, you know, in-kind contributions, like you said, apprenticeships, mentorships, internships, basic stuff that gets people off the couch at home or stop doing their stuff, and, and encouraging them to go and do what they have to do. But again, it's that challenge of people look around and there's nothing around them.
They can do.
Immediately that they can reach here. They have to walk until where, or they have to. And you have these different initiatives coming up, like Slum Code, one of our partners in Huruma. They have a hub over there, a hub similar to the Y hubs and the I hubs, but in Huruma. So they have these computer spaces where people come and they can look up at all this information. They can do these small courses. They can do soft skills, life skills, all this stuff that gives them that edge they need to walk all the way and come to Upper Hill and all those Gava officers and say, okay, fine. It's not about trying to Gava all the time, but come to them and say, this is what I'm qualified. I've done ICT. I've done this.
And just to add one more problem also, still an attitude problem, is the fact that the youth want to make it today. Yeah, you want to start a business, microwave, you know, like kind of thing, like immediately. You have customers immediately, you have money immediately, not knowing that actually some things take some bit of time, like business. Yeah, even if you look at the greats in business, whether it's out of the country or within the country, if you really read their story, they didn't start where they are now. Yeah? If you read even the story of Dr. Manu Chandaria, Chris Kirubi, anybody you can think of who's doing well in business, if you read their story, you'll be surprised at where they started. Yeah? They didn't start by getting success immediately. They didn't start by getting money immediately. But the youth want like overnight success. And that is also an yes, you start a business, it grows immediately, you get money immediately, sometimes it doesn't work like that. It doesn't
work like that. You have to exercise patience,
perseverance, patience, and you also have to have a long-term plan for your business. There's some very good communities that have very good succession plans for their businesses, like the Asian community. I keep thinking of this shop, Jivanji Gardens. We used to go every Sunday. My father would take us there after church to eat chips. And you'd find the small boy, the son of the owner, would be seated at the counter. He's not doing much, but he's seeing what his father is doing, how his father is transacting. I think also as the youth, we need to think in terms of long term. Yes, I'm starting a business. Where do I want this business to be in 5 years, in 10 years? Will my children be trained in taking up this business? Will it go across the country? If it goes across the country, can I then target other countries? If I target other countries, can I then grow it and go to another continent? So we need to, let's not think of just overnight success. Let's think of having a successful business for the long term, for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, to even live to our children and train them also in terms of succession.
Wow, I like that. I like that. You have to exercise patience.
Patience.
Patience is a virtue. I mean, you can't start a business and then it grows like pop. Okay, of course, you will start a business, it fails, but you don't lose hope. You find something positive out of it and then start something. Now, we have this kind of group of people where they are into drugs already, but then they're trying to come out of it and then try to find something they can do in life. Do you, as an organization, have like a foundation for them?
Okay, for Makini, we don't have a foundation for, you know, rehabilitated drug users, but we try and encourage them to, we try, through the awards, we're trying to, we don't look at the background, as I said, we're not looking at the educational background, we're not looking at whether they've been drug addicts or not, because anybody can start afresh, even if you've made mistakes. And that's what the youth are also afraid of making. They're afraid of making mistakes. But if you read even about, even in any sphere, not just business, like Abraham Lincoln made so many mistakes, but he ended up becoming the president of the United States of America. And not only that, he actually ended up helping to abolish slave trade. And he's remembered for that, actually. So even if you've made a mistake, even if you've taken drugs, and you know now you want to clean up your life, first and foremost, as the rest of the community, we should not stigmatize you.
And that is what the community is good at.
Yes, we're very good at saying, so and so, you don't know that guy was a drug addict.
Yeah, like you tend to judge somebody out of the mistake they did, instead of trying to help them come out of that mistake and find something positive they can do in life.
Yes, so the first thing is not to stigmatize the person. The second thing is to look at opportunities that you can help them to develop. For instance, as I talk about Youwin Awards, we're not looking at the background. We're not looking at whether you are a drug addict or not. Are you willing to start a business? Do you have that business acumen? Do you have the drive? Do you want to grow your business to the next level? We are willing to help you and support you.
Okay. Mr. Kamau, if I can call you that.
Well, different people have different views on addiction, but personally I see it as a disease. A disease that can be cured. And I worked at UNDP Somalia, and we worked with disarming combatant youths who are in the field doing all these sorts of stuff. But you realize these guys were doing this because they had nothing else to do. But what you do when you take away someone's gun or you take away someone's drugs, you have to put something in their hands, you know. So I'm not saying, exactly, I'm not saying you give them money or you give them whatever. You give them basic skills. You, as you're curing them, you're also giving them power and tools to make their lives better so that they don't come out when they're clean and they have nothing to do. They have a drive. Directly, right now, we're not directly involved with that, but we believe our partners, like for example, Slum Coding, they give guys that chance to come and do something, as opposed to a guy in the daytime he can go and kajak, but Johnny, he can come and, you know, and eventually he'll come out of that and he'll see a better way for himself.
Okay. Well, do you have success stories just before we go for a break?
Do I from UNDP? I went to the field when I worked at UNDP once, and one guy in the office, he was a very nice guy. He welcomed me when I got there and everything, and someone told me that he used to be an Al-Shabaab.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, that's crazy. But you know, I mean, it's a misconception as well. With all that, it's crazy what's going on and everything. But many of these guys are people who haven't been reached. You know, it's like if we're racing and the drug lord or something gets to you before me, and me, I'm coming with education, because he has the money and he has there in front of you. Me, I'll be asking you for patience. And again, it goes back to the attitude and getting to those people and not just leaving them to stew in their own filth, you know. Yeah.
Do you have success stories?
Actually, there are quite some number of youth entrepreneurs. There are so many, I don't know where to start, but maybe I'll talk about 3. There's, we have 2 people who have registered into the program. One is employing 9 people and is only 28.
Wow.
Another lady is employing 5 tailors and she's only 29.
Wow.
So this can be done. It can be done. It can
All
be done.
is not lost.
All is not lost. It can be
It
done.
can be done.
Just need to support the youth a little more. You know, just provide structured support, make sure they can get to where they want to go, and it can be done. We all need to pull our weight.
Okay, so let's go for a break and then we'll come back and talk a little about the Wezo Fund. Do you think we as the youth can benefit from that fund? So keep sending your questions to 21144. We'll answer them after the short break. Welcome back. Thank you so much for your company. Glad you're still with us. And before we went for that break, we were talking about the Wezo Fund, and we want to know, yes, it was launched like recently by our president. So do you think it will benefit us as the youth? Because of course there are issues to do with corruption and stuff. So do you think it will benefit us in a way? Okay,
first let me say that there's so much that needs to be done that, you know, any player, new player that comes on board is welcome, because the youth, the work that needs to be done among the youth is a lot. So I think Wezo Fund will succeed. But I also think we also need to look at what the success rate of other initiatives that have come before and what we can learn from that, and then what we can do to improve the, you know, the delivery of the Wezo
funds. Okay. And of course, you know, we can't just give out the funds to people, you know, you don't even have a business idea, but you want the funds. Okay, what will you do with it?
Yes, exactly. That goes back to what my colleague and I were saying earlier. It's an attitude problem. You can't, again, just go to Wezo Fund and say you want money. Do you have an idea? Are you in business? Are you doing something already? Are you serious? You know, so we have to, there's a lot that goes towards making funds successful, because you can be given 30 million today or even 100 million. And then you don't know what to do 6 months' time, we ask you, okay, what have you done with that money?
Nothing.
And nothing. So I think those are some of the pitfalls that the fund has to avoid. And I'm sure they've put enough structures to make sure that all that is taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, to add to that, the structures being put in place, they're pretty skin tight. And I know they've been making a lot of changes in terms of the administration. I personally, we wanted to apply, me and some friends of mine who have been collecting money, we wanted to apply for the agriculture one. I think it's about 350,000 for the Amiran, but I mean, it's been going slow because they've been trying to perfect the mechanism behind it. And when you look at because people think you just go and fill in a form and you're given the cash. It's a whole different ballgame. There's different pre-qualification measures. I think it's different loans have different needs. Like the agriculture one, 2 per constituency. I mean, the necessary measures have been put in place, and it's going to work. And the interest rates are good. I mean, it's pretty skin tight. But as far as the administration goes, it needs to work, because we were at an ILO function a while back, and there was a representative from Uganda, and I had no idea, so excuse me, how much money Museveni's government has been putting into youth. And there was a doctor there who was talking about the different initiatives that have been taking place. And I was blown away because that's what the Uwezo Fund wants to do. And the people that have benefited from that, it's been amazing. People are employing, and their reach, I can't remember the figures, but the reach was amazing. So this can work with the necessary measures put in place, with the proper administration. It can work, and it can be the defining thing for Kenya. Because Kenya, people have been saying that the youth are the key to Kenya gaining economic perfection. But those things happen every once in 3 weeks. There's an article done, and the message goes away. So that communication needs to be pounded into, not only into the youth, but into the powers that lie. You're talking government, you're talking private sector, you're talking NGOs, everyone. That communication needs to be sent and communicated, and that way, that's where things will go forward. Yeah.
Just to read one question. Hi, I'm Rose. I own a small bakery, and I would like to take it to another level. How can you be of help to me? Probably can advise her.
Okay. Rose, I'd advise you to visit www.youwinawards.com because, of course, this TV program is limited as to how much information I can give, but there's so much information on the site. She'll know exactly how she can apply to be part of the awards process, and she can know whether she qualifies, because we have some eligibility criteria. The first criteria that we have is your business must be registered, and then you must be making a turnover of at least 50,000 per month and upwards. You must be having at least one employee, and there's a registration fee of 3,000. Reason being for the registration fee is because of the aftercare program. We're not going to charge the entrepreneurs for that aftercare program. The program where we mentor them for 1 full year, where we provide apprenticeship opportunities for them, where we provide opportunities for industry linkages, where we provide training for them, financial management. That is not going to be charged. However, if she's youth with disability, there's a different set of criteria, because we're trying to make it, accessible to them. If she's below 18, because she hasn't said her age. So if she's below 18, again, we're making it easier for them to join. So it's a different set of criteria. And if she's a university/college student, I've met some university students who have made me feel, wow, I mean, somebody who's really doing well in business, they looked at 50,000 as a turnover required, and they were like, this is peanuts. So, I mean, there are different levels, different ways she can participate in the program.
Okay. Another one, good morning to you. What is the first step one needs to take after identifying a business idea? And how can I ensure that the business idea is fully implemented? How can I find you, please? Dan Barani from Dandora. Probably can answer him. First step after identifying a business idea, what next? Yeah.
My honest opinion would be mentorship. Go to someone who is doing the same thing, similar, and I was going to say for the same as the bakery. Fine, you can get mentorship from different people, but go to someone who owns a bakery, for example, or whatever your business idea is. Go somewhere where someone is doing something similar. Don't be in a hurry to pick it up today. Go ask for an internship. That's the thing. I'm not saying necessarily that person who's asking, but where many people lack is that element of understanding that you have to put in something, and not necessarily capital, to get there. So go, if you want to open a factory of some sort, a shoe factory, go to a cobbler and ask him if you can help him, and you can understand what you're doing. Because let's say he has the capital, he'll open it, but he won't have the understanding. I'm not saying go to school and do a degree in cobbling.
Is there a course like that?
If there's something like that, yeah. But attach yourself to someone who's doing it and mentor them and follow them. I was talking to someone the other day, and he was telling me how he wanted someone as a mentor, and he was telling me that guy sent that person so many emails. At first he had told him to leave him alone, but eventually he called him back. Persistence. It's something that even me, until today, it helps me a lot. But don't be ashamed to go and put yourself out there and be vulnerable, because that's what everyone who's made it had to go through. There has to be that element of
I think you have to be careful in as much as you're trying to be persistent, because there are some other people who will not
Don't
take
be a stalker. Don't cut their tires and kidnap their children. Don't do that.
Okay, persist, but in a good way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. And we were talking about success stories. So still on you, do you have like success story? Like people came to you and they were like, okay, I need to do something, but I don't know where to start from. Do you advise people as well?
Okay, first I'll go back to the training I had told you we were awarded by the World Bank. And it's happening in 8 cycles. We've already done 4 cycles, and each cycle is 5 weeks. So as McKinney Training and Consultancy, we were awarded that contract to train the youth. And we were so amazed by just that training. It's a 5-week training, but it's purely on ICT. And just before the elections, some youth came for the training. We are handed over the youth by KEPSA, Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and they came for the training. And just before the elections, they approached some politicians, and they were able to design posters for them. They were able to design promotional items for them, and they made money. So something as simple as that, I think that is a beginning of success. As I said, we've interacted with so many youth, and so many youths are doing so many good things. It's just that we don't know where these youth are, and the opportunity that we've had to interact with quite a number of them, like the guy I was talking about, Alex Dubai, he owns Digital Dialect. He has 9 employees. His business is in Chaka Place. He's paying, can you imagine, salaries for 9 people, and he's only 28. Chebet Mutai, who's also an applicant in the program, she owns a fashion house called Wazawazi, and she's employing 5 people, 3 full-time tailors and 2 part-time, and she wants to grow her business. So there are success stories out there. I think we need to celebrate them first and foremost. Can we celebrate them? Because they've put their necks out there. Can we celebrate them? Those who are doing extraordinary things in this land. We have a McKinney student, but I'll be told I'm being biased. But he's 11. He's called Njoroge. He won an award the other day from Total Eco Challenge, and he's planning to plant over 1 million trees this year. He's 11. So imagine if you encouraged such a young person. Success stories are there. It's just that we haven't celebrated them enough, we haven't rewarded them enough, and that's why we want to do this as Youwin Awards. We want to first start by celebrating and rewarding those who are already doing really extraordinary exploits in the world of business, and then move everybody, whether you win or not, we move everybody who's in the program to the next level, move their businesses to the next level, and expound that success so that we create more money, and of course we create more jobs.
Okay. Yeah. And how can I join? How can someone join the McKinney project? That is someone from Nairobi asking.
Okay. First, there are forms in all Posta branches. And Posta has 470 branches. They're one of our partners. So any post office branch, please go there and get a form. There are also forms in Nakumat. So you can go to any Nakumat branch, they're one of our partners, and get a form. You can also log on to our website, www.youwinawards.com. Youwin is spelled Y-O-U-W-I-N, then .awards. Our Twitter page, please visit it at Youwin Awards. So there's a lot of forum. If you don't get a hard copy, you can go online, and online you can get the forms and apply for it. The deadline for applications is going to be November 8th.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so we still have time.
Hurry up,
yes.
So that you don't caught up with them. Now, you, Homeboyz, do you have a specific way of recruiting youth or initiating them to the Homeboyz project?
Well, our key role as the Homeboyz Foundation is to use the corporate linkages and everything and act as facilitators to these people. I mean, directly, we do take on interns, and we do, because Homeboyz does a lot in itself. Homeboyz is a large entity, and we're doing Project Fame, we've done Miss World, they did the presidential debate.
Wow.
And myself directly, I recruited some interns during Miss World to come and help. And they were doing the backstage, they were doing the registration and everything, and it was crazy for them. They got to meet all these people, they got that experience of being at the front line, you know, and getting to learn. But directly, we actually act as facilitators. So all these other projects people have, people come to us and we attach interns and we give them out. But if you don't mind me going back to the element of success stories, one of our ambassadors, we're pushing, one thing we're working for is agriculture. We're pushing a lot of agriculture, going back to the farm, trying to make it attractive and everything. Her name is Martha Otieno, and she's been in the media a bit, but she graduated from a university in Tanzania, and she came back and looked for a job for a very long time. But as it happens to everyone, very many people, she couldn't find it. So what happened, she went back to the village, Homeboyz. She talked to, I think, her neighbor or something, or someone over there. And in their community, understand it's taboo for women to own land. So she managed to somehow see if she can rent from him and all that. Long story short, Martha is making a lot of money. Wow. 6 figures on the higher side, you know. Wow. And through that, she brought on her cousin. Her cousin, Brenda Aaron, is paying for herself doing 2 courses. One is a qualification in, to be honest, I can't remember, but and then at the same time she's doing a degree in, I think, BCom, if I'm not wrong. So that's during the week. And these girls are, Martha is 20, lady, sorry, Martha is 27, Brenda is 28.
Wow.
They're doing 6 figures, and during the week, Brenda is in school. Weekend, she's on the bus going back to, you know. So if it's just that element of getting yourself down and telling yourself you can do it. And maybe weekends, yeah, people want to relax, go out and whatever, but there's still that extra element of, you know, we have a whole bunch of ambassadors, a whole lot of success stories, and we're using them to pioneer and to go forward and say, look, this is possible. Maybe not just bring people who have, people like celebrities necessarily, who are there as well, but they have the capacity already, but bring people who are the same as you, and telling guys that, look, it can be done, and just that element of pushing yourself and getting and making it happen.
Okay, and before we go for a break, there's this element of kujuana. You know, before somebody gets into a particular field or into a particular organization, you need to know somebody. That can be a problem as well, right?
Okay. To be honest, I can say that at Makini, nothing like that exists.
Oh, thank God.
And for the Youwin Awards program, actually nothing like that exists. I don't need to know you. You don't need to be my relative or the relative of anybody at Makini to join the awards. And even whether you win or not, we are going to take you up to make sure that you succeed. And this is irrespective of whether we know you or we don't know you. That is not an issue at all. And I can honestly say that from the bottom of my heart, that there'll be nothing like kujuana or just helping people that we know. In fact, can you imagine that the judges, and we have an audit firm, PKF, who are our auditors, we ourselves don't even know who has won.
Oh,
These
really?
auditors are the ones who are going to go through with the judges. The judges are not employees of Makini. They're going to be totally different outside of Makini. So, I mean, we want to make this as fair as possible. And it's not about who I know that now this is the person who's going to win. We are also going to know the winners at the gala dinner. Let the process be handled independently, officially, and professionally.
Welcome back. Glad you're still with us. And, you know, we have a couple questions for you. Some are asking, okay, where do I, you know, find the form for Makini, and where do I return it if it's poster? So just a clear information.
Okay. Our offices are at Kaboke House, State House Avenue. But we'd prefer you post the application because we don't get too many people coming to the office. You can post it on 47437-00100 Nairobi, or you can call us, or you can go to our phone lines. I think they'll be displayed at the end of the program, and call us, and we will tell you how to go about it.
Okay,
Yes.
we've been talking about challenges. So how can we come up with a solution to help that youth out there, you know, get a business, start up something, and live a good life?
Okay. The first thing is, despite the challenges, there's always a solution to everything. That's what I've, you know, there's always a solution to any problem under the earth. And what we need to start each doing our part. The government is doing its part. There's Uwezo, there's Youth Fund, there's Women Enterprise Fund, there's the government's initiatives, 30% procurement process. That's the government part. Private sector, Homeboyz, the Makinis of this world have a part to play to all help, you know, solve the problem, because the problem is huge. And if we work together, if we work as a team, if we collaborate, if we help each other to make these initiatives work, I think we will have solved the problem of youth unemployment. Yeah.
Okay. Advice to the youth out there?
To add to that, again, it starts with yourself. You know, the element of understanding that there's a certain amount of effort you have to put in to get where you need to be. You know, you won't wake up, and because there's 6 billion from runoff that was left over, doesn't mean that everyone's going to get it. You know, if they give it to everyone, you know, everyone will get, was it 5 bob? I don't know the math, you know. It can't happen like that. So it's just about understanding that you need to put in the effort. Now, if I can speak for myself as Homeboyz, what we're going about right now is opening a youth portal. A youth portal where our potential employees and people who want to be entrepreneurs and the mentors and the employees and everyone can come and interact. So here, from the perspective of the young person, you can come, you can find out what skills do you need. You can take aptitude tests, find out what do I need to do, You know, not many people know that those tests, you can come and fill out a form and it can tell you, ideally, this career would be good for you. You know, considering we're going into the digital era, it's going to be as accessible as it can possibly be. And that's where all the big partners come in, the corporate linkages and everyone, to make it as accessible as possible. But there are those places next to people and they don't know. For example, you know, you have your slum codes, you have your iHubs, you have your whatever. Go there. So our portal, people will be able to find out what they need to do, attain simple qualifications. Our partnering with Microsoft tentatively. Come, do that, drop your CV, learn these skills, and the employer can come and interact. See, hey, this guy wants to do exactly what we're doing, pluck him from the system, you know, and say, as opposed to being brought for someone who will not work, you can come and pluck someone who has been hungry enough to go and fill out that information. That's what we're doing personally. Yeah, and that's going to be up and running soon. And
just to add what he said something very important, that it has to take your initiative. You know, don't wait for, you know, manna to just come from heaven. The days of manna are over. Please take the initiative. Go find out what it is Youwin Awards is about. Go find out what it is Homeboyz Foundation is about. The initiatives that are there, Uwezo Fund, YDF, you know, Women Enterprise Fund. Find out what is in it for you and take action. That's the most important thing. If you look at Youwin Awards, unless you apply, we don't know. We wouldn't know where you are, where you exist, whether or not you even exist. You have to take initiative. You have to go out there and make things work for you. Yes.
And during the break, we were discussing about, you know, people fearing the risk of just starting up a business. Do you need to have special skills for you probably to start a business, or?
Actually, I don't think you need to have special skills. What you need to have is, I think, a drive, business drive and business acumen. I think that's what you need. Now, whether or not the business will work because you have business acumen is a different story. Why? Because it's not just your drive that will cause business to happen for you. You have to have the right product. You have to have the right market. You have to know how to do your marketing right. You have to know how to put the right people to work for you. You have to know how to get rid of the wrong people. I mean, there's a whole chain
like you have to
of
do
events.
A market research.
But you have to start somewhere. Yes, you have to look at what is it, because as long as you're solving a problem in this world, there is room for you. Actually, the richest people in this world is because they are solving a problem, a certain problem that exists in society, and they have the solution for that problem. They are solving it. So first and foremost, you need to find out my business idea or my product or the service that I want to offer. Who can I offer it to? What skills do I need then to make sure that I market this product in the right way? You can have some of the best products and services, but if you don't know how to market them, again, that becomes a problem. So it's a whole chain of things that you need to do, but you have to start. You have to start somewhere.
You need to start somewhere. Yes. I like that. Probably to read our last question. Hi, I'm 21 years of age. I cleared Form 4 in 2011 and can't go to college due to lack of finances. Please, could you guys help me to get a job? Thanks.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, at 21, okay, fine. I'm assuming they're able to survive somehow, but there's a big misconception, and people underestimate the value of experience. You know, because you have your Form 4 paper as well and good, but you need experience. So you need to find a way to attach yourself somewhere and get those 3 months of unpaid internship. I have like 3 years of unpaid experience under me. Luckily enough, I was able to be sustained by my parents, which isn't the same for everyone. But the experience is a whole other level. That alone will lead you to where you need to be. Yeah, that's what I can say.
And talking of experience, there are other job places where they want 3 years experience. And you know, for such a person, I mean, they don't even have at a 1 month experience.
Okay. I'll go back to what he's talking about. Very few youth are willing to intern, for instance. Yeah, but you see, once you get into an organization, even as an intern, nobody asks you that experience you got. Did you get it as an intern or did you get it as an employed person? Okay. Nobody asks you that. They just ask for the experience. Now, most youth are not willing to attach yourself to a company, like he's saying. Intern, do even if it's a year or 3 months, just learn the ropes, learn what it is the company does. And believe you me, if you're good, nobody can turn away a good person.
Yeah,
if you're
true.
extraordinary, you will find yourself when they're trying to get more people into the company, you're the first person who will be
They will
considered.
look to-
But now most of the youth want to sit at home, say they don't have money, they don't have opportunity, but I don't think so.
They don't even want to
They don't even
volunteer.
want to yeah, go show the employer what you're made of. Yeah, go and say, me, I'll work for free, and see whether nobody will take you on after you've proven that you can actually learn, you're adaptable, you're flexible, and you're a good worker. Yeah, I think we have to change, again,
Our
attitude.
mindset.
Yes.
It's all,
Social
it
adjustment.
all boils down to you.
Yes.
You need to change your mindset and, you know, just go somewhere.
And don't
Just
say you
so that-
don't have money, because you can actually walk to work. Most people are not willing to do that. Look for an organization that is near where you live, and start there. And say, let me, you know, do my internship here. Please allow me to just work for you.
for
I
free.
mean, there are options. There are options. But the
There
youth are
is.
not willing to suffer. They're not willing to work hard. They're not willing to get these things to work for them. And yet there are opportunities.
And I'm actually inspired by the story of that chick. You know, most ladies, we don't want to go down there and do something, especially when it comes to kazi ya shamba. You know, tutaki kushika uchafu. We just want something good, something safi, you know. And that's not good, because you might find yourself sitting there wishing to get a job, but 5 years down the line, no job, you know. So you need to find something and do it.
And you know, something good doesn't come easily.
It doesn't come
It
easily.
doesn't come
Exactly.
easily. You have to do something.
And people say pity doesn't pay.
Oh,
Yeah.
it doesn't pay.
You sit
Okay.
and feel sorry.
Doesn't pay.
So 1 second. We need to end the show like right now. So just 1 second advice.
Okay, never give up. Never, ever give up. And don't sit back and say there's nothing good in this country. Opportunities are there. Stand up, take action, and make them work for you.
Okay.
More or less the same. Don't wait for anything to happen for you. Get up and go. People have better advantages than you, but there are others who are worse off than you. So never feel sorry for yourself. Just pick up and go. And you have to do it. Yeah.
1 second.
And you can create something out of nothing. Don't just sit and say, I have nothing. You can create something out of that nothing you think is nothing.
Okay. So thank you so much for your company. See you tomorrow for another interesting, you know, topic and interesting information that you need to know as a woman out there, as a youth out there. So see you tomorrow. God bless.